Hi, everybody. Sorry for the delayed start, but I had some other things that came up at the last minute, but I didn't want to rip y'all off and not give you the victorious Monday Moohead Radio edition with the Cleveland Cavaliers defeating the Boston Celtics. There's a lot of analyses that happen after games. I develop one while I'm watching the game, and then the next day I watched the game a second time to see if there's anything I missed. And then there's the other parts of the story that you kind of fill in the blanks. The first one that I was really curious as hell about yesterday was where in the hell was Kyrie Irving? Gordon Hayward was there, and everybody else seemed to be there. Tito Horford was there. I would imagine at least 6 men that Stormy Weathers blew were there, but Kyrie Irving was not there. And I knew that it would take a little time for the Boston Celtics to come up with some kind of a PR thing. The PR thing takes a little time to come up with a plausible explanation of why a selfish prick of a player wouldn't show up to cheer on his teammates in the most important games of their lives. Well, leave it up to Kyrie, of course, who's already won a championship. And he obviously didn't feel it was the most important time of his life, and therefore he didn't show up. So, he could have been out partying for all we know. Okay, it is possible. However, now Danny Ainge, the crybaby little shit that he is, comes to his rescue with this stupid, ignorant story. Quote, Kyrie had a deviated septum, and he had some surgery on that. And so I don't think he wanted to be seen, said Ainge, who then turned playful while noting, he's a really good-looking guy. He can't ruin his movie career. Have you seen the trailers for Uncle Drew? You can't call that a movie. Now, Trainwreck is actually a movie with actors in it, okay? If you want a basketball player in a movie, you got that, right? But like everything else, LeBron does things better than Kyrie, especially not only on the court, but publicly. Kyrie Irving had a deviated septum. He's got a deviated brain. He thought the world was flat, and then they had to cover for him up by having a second podcast where he laughed it all off and said, see, I was just dealing all over you people. Yeah, right. We're talking about a selfish prick. And you know something? If I were a Boston fan, and maybe the Boston press will pick up on this. I invited the guy from Boston. Nobody wants to have anything to do with Moohead Radio. I wasn't going to rub in the fact that the Cavaliers and the GOAT won Game 7. I wasn't going to do that. I wanted to ask from their perspective what Boston fans and the media were saying about what passed for a 7th game performance by the Boston Celtics. So I'll have to talk about that by myself. But this deviated septum story, if I were the press, I would be wondering, hey, is Kyrie going to play more than one more year here? Is he really going to sign a long-term? A deviated septum surgery is elective cosmetic surgery. Lots of people, boxers, have deviated septums. I have a deviated septum, for Christ's sake, from being elbowed in the nose playing basketball in a rec league back when I was in my 20s. Oh, yeah, I have a deviated septum. But he had to have surgery on that on the day of the 7th game. Yeah, right. This is what I mean by just being tone deaf. Nobody matters to Kyrie except for Drederick, his stupid father, and himself. That's all he cares about. And if you think that Boston is going to be elevated to a championship team because of Kyrie Irving, you got another thing coming. Not him by himself. You got to remember that there are 4 other men on the court who will be sharing the court with him, and they have to get their hands on the ball first. People who are selfish like this, and I know that Kyrie Irving made a big shot for the Cleveland Cavaliers. I get that. I don't take that away from him. But the overriding, prevailing, presiding feeling that I always had about Kyrie Irving was that he was into himself, and that's all he really cared about. Hey, Chuck Steak, how you doing? Chuck Steak made it for the show, even though I was like 25 minutes late. Sorry. Matt Ogden's here, too. I didn't even know Matt was here. I thought you couldn't do this on Mondays, Matt. I didn't invite you. I invited the other guy, Brian, but I was late, so everyone thought that I just died or something. I have a lot to say. Most of it about Kyrie Irving in the beginning of the show. Kyrie Irving used to mope. You know, people rewrite history. They're like historical revisionists. Not to the extent of the people who say that the Holocaust never happened, but historical revisionists in the sense, wow, what a selfless guy Kyrie is. Wow, he really put it all on the line. Do you remember those years that the Cleveland Cavaliers were losing and Kyrie would just mope and pout and quit and take horrible shots, and we'd lose in the end of games, and he just never once led us to anything important in all those years. Oh, Matt says they bumped my schedule to a different day. Just wanted to brag how I was right. Okay, well, wait a minute. I think I can still invite you, buddy. I think I can get you in here. I think. Let's see if this thing allows me to do this on the sly. All right, let's do this for the Matt Meister. He wants to brag, by golly. Here comes your invite, man. It's on its way, and there. Right there. Howard Cosell Broadcasting Live. All right, enough of that. He used to mope. That's all he did. And then when LeBron came back, he would complain and moan, and he's always hurt, and he can't do this. And then Drederick would say, no, my son can't play because of his knee, and oh, this, and oh, that. It's always the same thing. This self-absorbed thing. And then he could have left Cleveland with grace and dignity, but he did not do that. No, I'm finally going to a real city. Yeah, a real city where you found a doctor who could do deviated septum surgery. Not a good enough city for you to cheer on your teammates. Had nothing about basketball, nothing to do with basketball. He wanted to be in a city where more people could see him, so more people could see his horrible Uncle Drew movie. And there's Matt Ogden. He wants to brag. Go ahead. Take center stage and brag.
What? Well, Mr. Moohead, you thought young Celtics team was going to beat LeBron and the Cavs?
Well, I was wrong about that.
You thought that was going to happen? Hey, then I think Bronx said the Cavs are going to win too. Cavs are going to the finals too.
Oh yeah, there's Bronx. You see, what you did, you invoked him. You invoked him on me.
Because me and Bronx, we saw a little different than you did. We saw the Cavs going to the finals.
I don't think anybody saw what was going to happen in Game 7, though. I don't think that anybody.
I had a feeling it was going to happen because they 10-0. Everyone's glowing about how they're undefeated at home, and then Cavs, LeBron's determined to go back to the finals for the 8th straight time.
Well, so, I mean, if you were looking at it historically, you could look at it that way. But the way it unfolded, I'm not sure that anybody could have known. Bronk, I mean, would you have called the game to go that way?
Sorry.
Near the end,
going
on. One at a time. Bronk first.
Yes, guys. I can't hear all you guys very well. Yeah, last night's game was a shocker to me too. I thought the Cavs had a chance of winning, but I don't know whether I'd gone public and said that. So I just thought the Celtics were going to fold like they always do and have their usual 6 minutes of throwing up shots and not getting any.
Yeah, how about 48 minutes?
Yeah, they were terrible. They were absolutely terrible.
I cannot imagine that team having played that bad a basketball game. And that's what I mean. Somebody asked me before the game, what do you think the Cavs' chances of winning? And I said 25%. Okay.
Well,
that's what I said.
Statistically, that's a sensible answer, because out of all the game sevens, 104 were won by the home team and 25 were won by the away team. So that, that's,
and then when it was halftime and the Cavaliers were down 4, I wrote him back and said, make it 40% now, because every minute that drops off the clock and the game remains close, the pressure falls on the younger team. At halftime, and then when the third quarter got started and it looked like they came out and they were going to do something, and then the Cavaliers blunted the attack and it went further into the third quarter, and it was like nip and tuck going back and forth. I turned to Mrs. Moohead and I said, this team is tempting fate, man. It's like, you don't want to get into a situation where you're a possession or two away and the game's that close with the GOAT on the floor. You just don't want to do it.
The last half of the fourth quarter, the Cavaliers outscored them like 16-6. The last 7 minutes.
Yeah, it was something to behold, the ineptitude of, and all of the players can take a bow for the Celtics, because, only Jason Tatum can say, I showed up and played, and Jason Tatum played a great beginning of the game, and then he fueled a spark in the middle of the game that looked like maybe that it was going to turn the tide. But there was nobody there to help him. It was unreal. Horford scored 14 points in the first half and 3 in the second.
Oh, you know who was the worst Celtic yesterday? Fucking Jaylen Brown. What was he doing? He was absolutely shocking.
Usually he's aggressive and goes to the basket. His dick shrunk in the shower before the game.
Bookies got to him before the game or something. He was awful.
Well, the whole team looked like they were just off. And there were a number of things that I personally didn't understand. Okay. And, the narratives going into this game was that it was LeBron James against this great young coach, all right, and great young players.
No. Brad Stevens, so.
That was the narrative. That was the narrative going into the game. Now, one thing I don't understand, at several points in the game, you saw Brad Stevens yelling, slow it down, slow it down. Now, that has to be totally counterintuitive to succeeding in this game.
Exactly.
The worst thing you could do is allow the GOAT to rest. The GOAT was going to play 48 minutes. The GOAT wasn't going to come out of the game. If you speed up the game and bump and bang and bump and grind, the Celtics team I watched all year that got by without idiot Kyrie Irving and his deviated septum surgery. The fact is, that's why he wasn't there, Bronk. That was released as the official excuse that he had elective cosmetic surgery. I still have a deviated septum.
I know somebody who had that surgery, and the reason why they had is because their other partner beat the fuck out of them. So,
I got elbowed in the nose playing basketball when I was in my 20s. But the bottom line is this. The way they won without him was to scrap and grind, and it was frenetic energy. It was the frenetic defensive energy that led to turnovers that got them into transition, and their great defense then would keep them close in games, and then they'd have these bursts where this frenetic energy would steal the ball, they'd get transition layups, and then they'd find a little patch of time where they shoot well, and they'd win because their defense held leads. Where was the tempo? Where was the pressure?
The Celtics were appalling whenever the Cavs made a shot. The Celtics only had a chance when they got a rebound off of some crazy shot that the Cavs did, and then they'd score a basket in transition. When they actually had to make their own fucking baskets after the Cavaliers scored, they had no clue whatsoever.
Well, that's because the coach bogged them down to the half court.
No clue.
Well, stop and think. Yeah, and there's Brian. Hi, Brian. Sorry I was late today. My bad. All right.
He's celebrating too much about the Cavs' victory last night.
Yeah. Yeah, I see. Brian is the horse. He's not the goat. But
yeah, that's some sort of weird.
But I'm not hearing him.
Yeah.
I see him, but I don't hear him.
Well, that's just as well really easy.
No, he's there. He's there.
Yeah, I know you're just doing backflips over Tommy Robinson getting arrested, so don't kid yourself.
Anybody know who Tommy Robinson is?
Wasn't he in that Graduate movie? Wasn't that the son of Mrs. Robinson?
No, he's
who the hell is Tommy Robinson?
He's a very, 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 very far right English Defense League personality over here. That only Brian seems to know who he is, so that's a bit disturbing.
I don't ever heard of him. Yeah, why would I know somebody who? Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't know who the leftist guy in England is. I wouldn't know.
Yeah, you should be. There's no reason why you would know.
Yeah, but at any rate, why slow the game down? I mean, stop and think. You're playing 37-year-old Kyle Korver, 32-year-old Jeff Green, 33-year-old LeBron James, coming off of more minutes than any man has played in a single season in the history since the game was invented. You got old guys like George Hill. I mean, up and down the roster. Why would you play in the half court? Why would you do it? And you know who it really screwed more than anybody was Terry Rozier. Scary Terry looked like barely Terry out there. He was just firing up bricks, and he
looked like Isaiah Thomas out there. That's what he looked like.
No tempo. He had no tempo whatsoever, and you could see that everything was forced. Everything was being forced down in the shot clock. There were so many shots that they hoisted late in shot clocks because they were bogged down in the half court, and their coach never. I mean, they have a mic on these coaches in the sidelines, and never was he clapping his hands. Get it, tempo going. Come on, get moving, guys, get moving. I mean, the only time where they had tempo was when they brought up the 35-23 lead. Okay. And at that point, they started getting some tempo, and it just all went away. And I know that nervousness causes heavy legs, but when your coach is telling you to slow it down, the implication is you're going a mile a minute, and you're really in a tizzy. Settle down. And he screwed his own team. I think Brad Stevens gets an F for doing a lousy job. And any answers? Did he have any answers? I mean, with his rotation, all I heard as part of the narrative was, "Oh, he didn't play Semi Ojeleye that one game. He's the greatest coach ever." Well, what the fuck did he do in Game 7? The answer is nada, nothing at all. That's what
Tatum was the only person who looked like a player out there yesterday, and in Game 6 for that matter.
And I want to say something about Jason Tatum too, because when he threw the dunk down over the GOAT. I mean, and he chest bumped him after he did it.
Yep.
Good for him. You know, good for him. I don't have a problem with a player being jubilant, especially after they did something. I mean, this is a Game 7, folks. This is something that is going to, propel you into the finals. It's the runway to the takeoff of a young organization. And he makes that dunk, and the place went electric. And in that moment, that infusion of energy, and he chest bumped the GOAT, and he was psyched up, and good for him. He should be. It was an emotional moment for the young man. He came to play, and LeBron, when he made 2 shots over Tatum in the previous game, also gave him a side swipe and a look, and that's all good. He shouldn't have to apologize for doing that, because
no problem with that.
What bothers me is Marcus Morris and his in people's faces, and he hasn't fucking done anything.
Yeah,
exactly. And he did it again. When somebody else made a good play, and not him, because he didn't make any good plays. And fuck him, because that's not. I'm enthused about something great that I did. That's me trying to get you and bait you into a technical foul. And Marcus Morris and his stupid twin brother will always be losers, and they'll be extras in a low-budget movie. That's all. I would be surprised if that guy even comes back. Fake tough guy. Nothing there. And
yeah, they both make me want to punch their mother in the vagina.
yeah, I mean, what the hell is the thing with this? I mean, I don't like it. You know, it's one thing if you do something and you're getting the crowd pumped up. That's good. Marcus Smart made a great pass that Al Horford finished, and he was getting psyched up. He wasn't doing it in the face of the Cavaliers. He was doing it to pump the crowd up. There's nothing wrong with that. The young team they earned that final home game to have that home court advantage. And, you know, there's nothing wrong with pumping up. But at the same time, what did the coach do with the lineup? Where was the depth on this team? Where was the help coming from? And the answer, nowhere. It came from nowhere for 48 minutes. It came from nowhere. I mean, one guy out there having a few real good hot streaks in the beginning and the middle of the game, but really beyond that, there was no consistency to the way the Celtics were playing. And
you know what? I think they look better with Baines out there.
Well, it created
better with him out there.
Well, because they kept missing, at least they had a better chance of getting the rebounds with the big guy in there. And it wasn't like they were going to lose any offensive opportunities because they weren't getting many from the players who were supposed to be scoring the basketball. Now, we talked about Boston ad nauseum, about the streaks, the periods of time where they wouldn't score the basketball. We talked about that. That is the Achilles heel. And people will say, well, it's because we didn't have Kyrie, we didn't have Gordon Hayward. All right, fine. We didn't have Kevin Love. Fuck you. I mean, the bottom line is this. You got to dance with what brung you. This is the name of the game. You can only do what's feasible with the players who are healthy that you have. And I didn't hear any of that. We didn't have Kyrie excuses when they were just going through every round in the playoffs. But now, Game 7, and that's the self-loathing part of Boston fans that I was telling you about. You should have seen how sober the Boston press was during the press conferences after the game. They were almost in tears because they're fragile. They're fragile little people there. They really are. And all you have to do now is get a hold of a Bostonian and say, you know, New York's really a better town. And they would commit suicide. They would. They would just fucking kill themselves. That would be the end of it. You know, they're a bunch of pussies. They're Germans, man. They're fucking Germans. They really got no confidence whatsoever. And all those people who were in that arena when the GOAT was horse-collared by the fake tough guy, you know, from behind, how in the hell does a basketball player going down the floor get collared from behind in the front of his shoulders and pulled back and still
score?
Gets the ball up there and it gets goaltended and it still goes in. The GOAT was destined to score. Boston, you're cursed. It's the curse of the Bambino, but this time it's the curse of the GOAT. And you want to know how I knew it was complete?
Oh.
Paul Pierce was on the sideline.
Yes. Nothing was greater than Paul Pierce Day when the Cavaliers dropped like about a 40-point win on him when he was getting his jersey retired. That's probably my favorite point of the whole season.
Always. The one time that he had the big game and scored 41 to LeBron's 45 when he was still out-dueled, but that was the P.J. Brown game that I referred to in the last show.
10 fucking years ago.
Yeah, you know, that was the one time he got the better of LeBron. The rest of his career, LeBron fucked his girlfriend. LeBron ate his dinner. When he'd go into a restaurant, LeBron would just walk over to his dish and just eat his food. He would take his clothing. I mean, the guy never got over on LeBron. And there he is on the sidelines. And once I saw his face on the sidelines, it's like, oh, God. This is now complete. The picture's complete. He's going to go back to being sad sack Paul. And he's going to be making excuses for the next 15 years of his life. And it makes me so happy to see Paul Pierce in pain. Oh, yeah. I'm not a Celtics fan. Everybody knows that. But, man, nobody could make three-point shots to save their soul. But you got the impression that at the end of the game, it was still 78-74. There was still a chance for the Celtics. And that 4 points might as well have been Mount Everest. They were not gonna catch up. And they had countless opportunities. When they were up 35-23, I counted six possessions that they went blank on, and the Cavaliers did too. They could have run that lead easily to 20 points, and that would have blown the Cavaliers away, and they didn't do it. There's so many things you look at in this game that were harbingers of bad things to come. Did you watch the game, Brian?
Yes.
When did you realize that things were going bad for the Bostonians?
Second quarter. When they had just done the changeover or gone to the break for the second quarter, I switched it over to the Coke 600 to see what was going on over there. And by the time they came back went to their commercial and I switched back, like the game was almost tied up. And it's like, God damn it. They're just like the Browns. Every time I turn them off, then they start doing something.
You sound like my wife. My wife actually will leave the room and say, they do better without me in here. And I said, oh, like you can alter the course of history.
Yes, I can.
Oh, geez, come on. Yeah, fans are like that. I love that beer commercial. Remember the things that fans do, I thought that was, the kind of goofy things they do as part of rituals for their teams to win. My wife is go upstairs and go to the kitchen, get out of the way. And then I'll yell down, hey, the Cavs are up by 2. She goes, I told you that's because I left. Like, honey, the Cavs are losing now and you weren't down here. It's like, oh, really? Oh, but if I come down here, they'll lose by more. I will. Oh, bad luck. Bad luck charm. Make it stop. Yeah. But they were goated in the end, man. You knew. So it gets down to 2 to 3 minutes left to go in the game. And there's still that 4-point separation. Mm-hmm. And what you could see was everybody in the Boston Garden. I don't call it the Garden anymore. What is the TD Waterhouse piece of shit? Is that what it is?
Toronto Dominion.
I don't know. The Sam Waterston building.
Yeah, Sam Waterston building. Right. And it's just, and you could see their faces. The blank look in their faces, you could see it. It was like, oh, man, they realize the GOAT is about to consume them. The dread, the fear, it was all there. And I mean, even at the end, they'd missed layups. Marcus Smart went to the damn rim, and he was allowed to go to the rim, and the GOAT was behind him, and he just hung it on the front rim and missed it because he was afraid that the GOAT was going to block it. It's like, oh, man, we were so far up their ass. We just died there, man. It was like, phew, what a way to go. What a way to go in Game 7. Oh, my. I mean, and boy, you didn't hear a peep. You did not hear a peep from the fans. Nothing at that point. I don't know if there was a curtain call for this team. I just wonder if did the fans actually just walk out of the place?
It looked like it. They had the trophy ceremony in the fucking locker room,
Well, they wouldn't allow them to do that on the floor. But, hey, that was what Steph Curry said. You know how they partied. He remembered how the champagne tasted in our locker room. Yeah, so that's what we did. We danced on their grave. And all those Bostonians, they could just go back to wherever they were from, and they could tell all their friends that they witnessed the epic collapse of Game 7 of their future franchise. And you know something? If it were LeBron James who lost Game 7, it would have been all you'd hear. He's gone. He's leaving Cleveland. It's over for the Cavaliers. But all you're hearing about Boston is, nothing but bright days ahead. I'm not convinced that Kyrie Irving's going to stay in Boston. I'm not convinced that Kyrie Irving won't lose his mind one day.
Well, will he even come back? His knee. Gordon Hayward, that was a bad injury that he had. They won't be the same when they come back. I mean, Isaiah Thomas didn't come back.
Deviated septum. Fucking, I don't know.
You know, that's another excuse for just having a cosmetic nose job.
That's exactly what it is, and it's just a thoughtless
like Michael
thing.
Jackson.
And you know something? Real players, and because they asked Marcus Smart, "Hey, you going?" Because he's obviously a free agent. You gotta, you want to be part of this in the future, and he said, "Yeah, it would be cool." But Kyrie's got some splaining to do. There's going to be players who are going to ask him, and they're not going to get an answer because he doesn't answer anything. Drederick doesn't answer anything. And I mean, the press is going to descend upon him and say, you really think that having a nose job on the day of Game 7, you could have just put that off another week? You can get in. He's got a concierge doctor. He can go to a doctor any day of the week he wants to go. Unreal. If I were a Boston fan, I wouldn't want to have anything to do with him. And you know something? We're in the finals again without him. And we got nothing for him. Nothing. And we're in the finals. And, and it was funny because it's kind of like, the Celtics are going home now. It's like, well, Kyrie went home a lot earlier. It's just, to me, the worst, the anti-camaraderie thing I've ever, I mean, that's the worst excuse, the worst thing I've ever seen. You show up to the other game and no, you're not going to show up to Game 7. I mean, everybody was there. Everybody who was anybody was there. God, is Tito Horford an ugly motherfucker? Jesus Christ. Not that his son is handsome, mind you. But God almighty. You know what he looks like? He looks like a Mr. Potato Head guy. He's got one of those weird potato heads, I don't know.
Don't know what to tell you.
Oh, the other harbinger, by the way,
Matt,
the harbinger, SAT word, of something weird in the air. The Cleveland Indians scored 5 runs in the 9th inning and actually came back again from 1 behind in the 10th inning, and then came around and won in the 14th inning when a Punch and Judy hitter hit the ball 370 feet over the right field wall.
What was that pitcher? Didn't he have like an 18-inning streak or something where he didn't give up a run? And then Alonso hits a home run?
Yeah, McHugh had only given up 1 home run in 20 innings or more. And, then bam, the thing's tied up again.
I was like, honestly, I thought it was over, to be honest, because the way our bullpen was getting up all those runs, like, there's no way we're coming back down 5 runs in the 9th inning. And then all of a sudden, the Indians start, because what was it? Jose Ramirez hit like, 7, kept fouling the ball off like 17 times.
Oh, yeah, well, that was
winning
good.
Right now.
I mean, say what?
They're winning right now. It's 9-5 in the 8th inning.
Oh, I see. I didn't even know they were on.
Yeah, we were down 4.
Yeah, they're down by 4 runs earlier.
White Sox are awful, though. Everybody.
Terrible.
I mean, we could easily come back down 4 runs against them.
Who pitched today for us?
Plutko, whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, Plutko came back to Earth, huh?
Bluto.
Earth to Plutko. Yeah. Plutko 7 satellite. Yeah. What did he do? Give up the long ball. Probably Abreu hit 3 home runs against him.
Yeah, there were a couple home runs.
Yeah.
It's not over yet.
Yeah, with our bullpen, it's never over yet. Danny Otero, I love it. Oops, Otero got one up. Gone, Flush it down the toilet. Yes. Yeah. I thought for sure that we had lost the game. And then when Yonder comes up and hits one yonder, it was like, oh boy. But now we're never going to score again. We can never get ahead. It was just like the Rajai Davis World Series home run. It's like we can never get the next run. We tied it up, and when Allen,
Greg Allen hit
first pitch, the guy wanted to establish the strike zone, and he looked at little malnourished Greg Allen, Mr. Double-A guy, and said, I'm just going to throw a fastball to get ahead of the count. This guy's not going to hurt me. Boosh! Flush it down the toilet. Yes. I mean, the ball game. Ball game. Just like that. It's over. When that happens, something weird's in the water, folks. Really weird in the water. And it carried on to the basketball game. And now, you know, we get to watch the Rockets and the Warriors, and we get to watch the Rockets choke.
Yeah, Rockets.
I hope not. I really want to see the Cavs play the Rockets.
Yeah, I mean, is there any word about Chris Paul? Are they going to mummify him and mummify his leg and try to get him out of the court? What are they going to do? Is he?
The last I heard, he's doubtful.
Oh man, I mean, that's just you got to wrap that thing up, and you got to go out there and you got to try, man. You got to try. This is, you know, Last Train to Clarksville, Vague Monkeys reference from 1967. You know, this is, you know, the last bus leaving the station for a guy like CP3. He can't afford to miss the game. Even if he plays marginal minutes and tries and he can't, then they can pull him. At least they said he tried, you know? You can tape a guy up. I played a 2.5-hour tennis match with a pulled calf muscle. And, you know, and they taped me up with that KT tape. And it's amazing what they can do with that Kinesio tape. It's really amazing. They can immobilize. Now, that doesn't mean that it's going to help a basketball player. Chances are he's going to re-injure it. But what do you have to lose at this point? What do you have to lose? I mean, fucking Willis Reed did it for the goddamn New York Knicks. I mean, you know, wait a minute, he's coming into the game. It's Willis Reed, you know.
It's a different era now. I mean, how's he supposed to guard anybody? How do you guard Klay Thompson?
They don't guard anybody anyway. D'Antoni's
theoretically, yeah. Yeah.
Chuck Steak says, who's winning, Golden State or Houston? Golden State, of course, because we have no chance against them whatsoever. None. But that's the fun of it. The fun of it is now that we get to watch the GOAT try to beat the Warriors single-handedly. I mean, it's just... Oh, and kudos to Jeff Green. I shouldn't say single-handedly, because Jeff Green did a heck of a job, didn't he?
Oh, he's got to be your favorite player on the team, you know?
I mean, and, you know, we didn't miss Kevin Love. And, you know, Kevin Love will be a better option. Again, you know, I'll tell you, he's a better option, perhaps, against the Rockets. Because
that's why I laughed so hard at those FS1 jokers when they were talking about, oh well, Kevin Love is a multi-time All-Star and there'll be so much better once he gets back in the lineup. And it's like, no, he's too slow to guard anybody.
One of the stations put up a stat that said the differential when Kevin Love was on the floor and when Kevin Love was off the floor during the Eastern Conference Finals. And when he was on the floor, it was like minus 24. And when he was off the floor, it was like plus 7 or something weird. So there was a big differential in favor of when he wasn't playing.
Yeah, it was like, I remember that chart. It was like 40-something points.
Yeah, it was really dramatic. It wasn't just a little difference. It was a massive difference.
And again, I mean, I think against the Rockets, you start Kevin Love and Capella. Maybe you could get Capella away from the rim, or he'd refuse to go away from the rim and try to block shots, and that would leave Kevin Love a 3-point shot. The problem is, against the Warriors, he's not going to get anything. He's not, I mean, because their big guys are agile enough to go out and shut him down from out there, too. I mean, we really were better off because Jeff Green gave us an athletic and advantage in that position, which is really great.
And you know what? Stevens didn't know what Jeff Green was going to do. He didn't know who he was going to guard, how he was going to play. Whereas Kevin Love is very predictable in how he's going to show up and play and not guard and whatnot. So I think that gave Celtics something they didn't know what to do, prior to that game.
So, I mean, so I'm looking at the Indians as it sits now. Plutko gave up 5 runs earned in 5 innings pitched. Olsen came in and actually got 2 men out by striking them out, by God. Evan Marshall gave up 2 hits in an inning, but he got out of it. And Neil Ramirez, the other guy who is like one of my least favorite guys, he actually has pitched 2/10 of an inning. He's given up a hit. but there's 2 outs to the top of the 8th. That's where we stand. And looks like Encarnacion hit a home run. So
it did a while ago. It was
so,
like the 5 and 9-5 now.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty good. Pretty good. He just hit it last.
Too early to predict the final series yet?
Oh, well, I mean, look, I mean, the GOAT can't beat these people by himself. And I'm thrilled for Jeff Green. Open heart surgery. He's played for every team in the league, damn near. And he played 4 years in Boston. I'm really good. I'm really good. I feel good for him. And he was emotional after that game. I mean, this is, you're kind of a vagabond player, Yeah. And when you're a vagabond player, you don't always end up with the finals within your grasp, But here he has an opportunity, and you got to feel good for him.
Part if the Cavs play the Golden State Warriors, you know what encourages me? Fucking Andre Iguodala is fucking hurt. The Cavs seem to have an answer for pretty much everybody else.
Andre Iguodala, Jesus. They gave him the MVP that year. Yeah, I remember. Oh, Crazy Dog's in the chat room saying, breaking, Indians prospect Shane Bieber is getting called up and will start on Thursday. So they're going to get a look at Bieber, who's a control pitcher, not a big-time, not a big-time arm.
But he was a Canadian pop star.
Yeah, right. I mean, we're not going to go through that again, are we? But
that sounds like a Brian joke.
This is tryout time for the Cleveland Indians staff because we saw that Plutko he had 2 good games. That's not going to keep on, Yeah. So Chuck Steak says if he doesn't make it, his brother Justin will probably get the call. See, this is just going to.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Sorry, I'm sorry I mentioned it.
See what you
apologize.
Jeez. Christ almighty. For God's sake.
For God's sake, Mark!
Mark! I told you the Celtics wouldn't do it, Mark.
Oh, you know what you got? You got to do Tommy Heinsohn's take on this series.
God, let's do that. Tommy, okay. First of all, I want to say this. Thank you for invoking me, Bronk. This is Tommy Heinsohn. Nice to meet you, Mr. Equine Guy. Brian Holman. Yeah. Well, let me tell you something about Game 7. Back in the day, we had guys who came off the bench. Bailey Howell. Who could ever forget Bailey Howell? John Havlicek. These people were white. I can't emphasize this enough. They were white basketball players. Now JoJo White, funny, was black. His name was White, but he was black. That's just one of those little ironies, that stuff that Alanis Morissette sings about, don't you think? The Boston Celtics don't have enough white guys. If I could clone Aaron Bates, who looks great in the shower, by the way, if I could clone that guy, we'd have won Game 7. But instead, there's Jaylen Brown, who is brown. For God's sakes, whatever happened to the Irish Catholic population? They show up to the game, and it's no wonder they just walked out. They were let down. And who did the best job in the game? The lighter-skinned black guy. I rest my case. Tommy Heinsohn out.
That's pretty true, Tom.
Yeah. Tommy is right there with the top racists in Boston, believe me. You never heard him talk about civil rights, did you? No.
Yeah. Red Auerbach, apparently. Remember that?
Red Auerbach and his goddamn cigars.
Statue.
Yeah. You know what I want to do? I want to go up to Tommy Heinsohn, who's about 85 years old now. It's really tells you how low I am.
Is he older than Hubie Brown, or are they both about the same?
No, he's in his 80s. I mean, yeah. I want to just go up to Tommy and just no.
That's terrible,
Marcus Morris, the son of a bitch. I really, I just wanted
to the ball like a big speed bag.
I just had so much to say to Tommy Heinsohn after everything. It's like you won't even remember these guys' names. When they're no longer Celtics.
By the way, Matt had battery issues, so he had to bail.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, there was.
Was he out regenerating right now?
My favorite Tommy Heinsohn story was when they had a guy named Walter McCarty who played for the Celtics. Walter McCarty. Yeah, right?
Yep.
Oh, man. Tommy and he was just an average player, Nothing
Tommy
really.
loved him, though.
He was a bench player. Oh, yeah, but Tommy, whenever he'd make a shot, Walter McCarty, Walter McCarty gets traded. I think he ended up getting traded to the Phoenix Suns. And the Phoenix Suns are playing the Boston Celtics. And Walter McCarty comes into the game and throws 3 threes in a row. And Tommy's like, somebody got to get on that guy. That guy? That's Walter. Jesus Christ almighty. What the fuck is that? Yeah, Tommy Heinsohn. I just wanted to, just in his face, man. In his face. I don't care for Boston.
No,
isn't that obvious? I'm still trying to figure out the deviated septum bullshit.
It's amazing. I didn't hear that. I didn't know that.
The thing that bothers me most about it is it's just so NBA. It's so self-obsessed, At least LeBron is self-obsessed, but for good reason. I mean, he's the GOAT. He gets the right to be self-absorbed.
Well, I think the Cavs are going to win. I'll go on the record and say it. I actually think
you're going with Team O'Destiny logic. All right.
Yeah, the old Alabama wins the championship, Cavaliers wins the championship. That's what I'm going with. Cavs in 6.
Oh, you got to be kidding.
No, I'm not. I'm serious. I'm very serious.
I think they might technically have a chance if they played the Rockets because there's James Harden out there. But James Harden's going to throw the ball game away again tonight. He's a bum. I'm sorry.
He's not.
He is the meaning. He is the absolute illustration of garbage time guy. The regular season, we find out in Toronto, doesn't mean shit, Hey, baby, if you're going to be a PT peer, you gotta show up in the playoffs, baby. Yeah, right? The rest is garbage time, man. James Harden's garbage time. That's what he is. When the game matters, man, his sphincter tightens up, man. Couldn't pull a pin out of his ass with a tractor. Good God.
Well, they should have won that game the other night. They were up by 15 or something at second quarter.
Yeah, I mean you would think that
they get 40 points in the first quarter or something.
Yeah, and they just disappeared. But you knew they would. You knew they would. And
and they're a team that can be demoralized if you start making just a few shots. And then once Klay Thompson got hot, forget it.
Yeah, well, that's it. I mean, you can't drop your guard against that team. You just can't do it. They're too good. I mean, you have to play a tight 48 minutes. You can't just recklessly turn the ball over, and you can't get them. Once they spread the floor, man, they can just bury you. You got to keep it on them, man. You got to keep it on them. And the damn Houston, they just started turning the ball over left and right. It just led to transition point after transition point. Yeah, I don't see any chance they win. And they're going to be at home, but it's going to go south real quick because once they fall behind, there will be no coming back, and the fans are going to leave early.
Well,
and they'll walk away.
I don't know. I think Houston's got a chance. I'm not going to say they're going to win, but I think it's going to be a close game. And I think it's going to be a relatively low-scoring game. Neither one may break 100.
You see, my feeling is that Golden State's going to pound them. And But if it's a close game, I think Golden State will lose. Golden State has proven to me that they tighten up in close games.
Yeah, they do. And, Curry and Thompson, they're not. Although they've got rings, they don't play like champions.
Well, I bet Kyrie Irving has a ring now in his nose after his surgery. Probably had one of those little rings put in his nose.
Yeah.
What a pussy. God almighty. All right, what does anybody have to say here? Because I think I pretty well spread my vitriol about, I hate all the false narratives too, I just can't stand it. And so Stephen A. Smith,
what's he got to say for himself?
What a fool. And, I want to dredge up a character that I've only used once on the show. And it's actually a character that I developed many, many, many years ago. And his name is the Misery Seal. and let me explain, there's cows and seals. Seals, they're sea lions. And the Misery Seal is a character who only shows up, he materializes, kind of like in Star Trek, he can beam up and down to a place where people are unbearably miserable. And he makes their misery even worse. The Misery Seal, you have to put him in the right place at the right time. For example, it would be easy to say, okay, look what's happened. There in the former Boston Garden in the Sam Waterston Arena, there is Brad Stevens sitting on the bench. And oh my God, look, the Misery Seal's materializing beside him. All right. But that would be too easy. I turned to Mrs. Moohead and I said, I know where the Misery Seal has materialized. And she says, where? Now, to do him, you gotta get rocking.
That's sort of like the Caddyshack squirrel there.
That's exactly right.
And
he rubs it in, and he rubs it in this way. And he goes like this. Oh, Skip Bayless. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. 7 more games of LeBron. The GOAT. Oh, yeah. That's where he materialized. And when he was done there, he went over to Stephen A. Smith. They have no chance. Oh, yeah. Then on the Jumbotron in the Sam Waterston Arena. Hey, Boston fans. Oh, yeah. Yeah. The Misery Seal.
House.
Huh?
And then to Dan Labia's house.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Joe Varden. Oh, Joe, take the lipstick off. Oh, yeah. Yeah, Oh, my Chris Fedor. Yeah. Oh, Chris. Hey, Bub. Oh, yeah, Bub. Every one of them, man, the Misery Seal. And I think there are like an infinite number of miseries.
And Mary Kay Cabbage.
Yeah.
I Mary Kay alone.
There's an infinite number of Misery Seals that can materialize, and they can go and he can be in multiple places. He's kind of like the BCOD,
How is the BCOD? Is he locked up in Florida where he can't?
Yeah, I don't take him on airplanes. No fucking way.
He got one of those planes with the windows hanging out and shit,
The Black Cow of Death was the one who told me we go 0-16. He told me we go 1-15 the year before. And man, he's bad news. You can't put him on a flight, and it's an Allegiant flight. I don't know if you've ever flown an Allegiant before.
Jesus.
Your odds aren't great to begin with. You bring the Black Cow of Death on a plane. Yikes almighty. You bring the Black Cow of Death onto an Allegiant flight.
You might as well be flying an old DC-3 from Republic.
Well, but it is a direct flight. It goes directly into the ocean. It's really cool. Oh, my God.
You guys getting a big storm down in Florida, too?
Well, I'm not in Florida. So,
yeah, I know.
But it's been raining nonstop here. I mean, all day today. We've had more rain in the month of May than I can imagine. I mean, it's got to be like, they say an average about 5.7 inches, and we're over 10 already. I mean, it just keeps
That's probably why it's nice here. You're getting all of our rain.
Oh my God! I mean, mold spores here. I mean, it's like the mushroom population has like exploded, and they're not the good mushrooms though. Yeah, the ones Boston fans need, not those kind. These are the poisonous ones. Toadstools, man. I guess it's 7:20, and I better get out of here. But
like that movie, The Beguiled. The girl.
I never saw that. Who was in that movie?
That was Clint Eastwood.
Oh, I didn't see that.
He plays a Civil War soldier with a wounded leg, and he comes across a girls' school or something, and they take him in, and they have to amputate his leg, and he starts screwing some of the girls, and so one of them gets jealous, and a couple of them conspire, and they pick the wrong mushrooms, and he ends up dying at the dinner table.
Oh wow, that sounds like a comedy. It's like, right up there with Every Which Way But Loose. That was one of Clint's, another funny one. Hey, Chad's in the chat room. Nice to see you, Chad.
Hey,
it's been a while. Yeah, that is Bronx. That's right, Chad.
It is.
Yeah. So it's
Chad.
Yeah, Chad's an old school Moohead viewer and good guy. Good guy. We have our disagreements every now and then, but I love him. He's family.
My favorite Republican, Chad.
Oh, he's family. You know,
my favorite. He's my favorite. I have no idea who's pitching for the Indians right now, but he looks like Stonewall Jackson. He's got the hair, he's got the beard, and I'm waiting him to go to some Civil War enactment and start, like rounding up black people or something. Is
it that Drake guy?
I don't know. I have no idea who this is. I mean, if you click on it, maybe. Unfortunately, I'm watching it on my Android phone because it is our national game here, but you can't.
Let me see who's pitching for them. No, it's Ben Taylor.
Ben Taylor. Isn't he the guy in Major League?
Oh, he's already given up a run.
Yeah, I know. They got guys on. They had guys on second. And
Ben Taylor. You know what Ben Taylor looks like? He looks like the 5 and dime version of Chris Perez.
Oh God, yeah.
I know.
And the dope sent to his house.
To his dog.
It was for the dog. It was for the dog. Come on, laugh. You drank something. Come on.
Talk about mushrooms, man. Jeez. All right, so that's it for the show.
Oh, it's all over. Tribe wins.
Yeah, it is over. Yeah, the Tribe has won 9-6. So a good day overall. Yesterday and today in Cleveland, a good day, and. We'll be back again on Friday.
World champs, baby.
Regular time or this new wonky special time?
Well, what I can tell you is this. Thursday will be the first game, I believe, of the finals, and we'll be back Friday to talk about what happened. How's that?
Okay, we'll guess the time.
No, it'll be 6 o'clock. I got caught up with something.
You do what you want, man.
I lost track of time. It was my bad. I was doing something and I just lost track of time.
Oh, you were thinking about Mary Kay again, weren't you?
Oh God, no, that would be you. That would be you. Only you have a fetish for Mary Kay Cabbage Head. I mean, God, the woman looks like a human Cabbage Patch doll. Make it stop. Make it stop. I mean, look, I mean, there is no sensuality.
To a fourth grader or something in her neighborhood where she gets these stupid questions from.
No, they make them. Oh, she gets them from Stephen Rose's father. Come on, man. I mean,
what happened to Tony Grossi? Is he still alive?
I don't know. All I know is that Paul Hoynes, he used to beg for questions. Hoynesy would go on Twitter and go, "Does anybody have any questions for me?" It's like, yeah, when are you retiring? God almighty, I'll Xerox my questions off to you there, buddy.
That's Bart Swain instead of Hoynesy.
Bart Swain. Yeah. But the ventriloquist and the dummy. God, Bart Swain fucking hated me. Oh my God, he fucking hated me.
I wonder why.
I have no idea.
I have no idea either, man.
I have no idea. I'm such a lovable character. You kidding? All right, I'm out of here. I'm done. I got to eat dinner. I got other things to do. But guys, I appreciate you jumping in knowing that I was late. Thank you for coming to my rescue.
Put him on the board. Yes.
All right, Brian, you take care. And you too, Bronk. And you too, thank you for tuning in. I'm going to put this up on the archive right now. That's it. The Cavaliers are in the finals. 8 straight for the GOAT.
World champs, man.
It's happening.
It's happening.
It's a happening. It's a happening. Okay.
It's happening.
We'll see if it's a happening or not. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you again on Friday. Until then, hasta la vista, Pastor Heads. Good night.